You know, whatever you're comfortable with. Don't say anything that you're not comfortable with. But I want to,
I mean, well, so
how far did it go?
Well, it he made me give him oral sex. He's given me oral sex. With the woman there, I had sex with the woman. She gave me oral sex, but so he made me touch it with my hand. He touched my privates with his hand. He kissed me on the mouth one time. He like got me to, he made me penetrate. He got me to penetrate him. Like, he tried to get me to fuck him in the ass. Like, wow. He tried to fuck me in the ass, like, and I don't like, and then, sometimes it's like another boy there, or, so like now it's I'm doing stuff with the other boy. The other boy is doing stuff to him. What
was the most people in the room at one time?
Would just be like 4 people would be the most. Okay. The most, like, and
when you say he made you try to penetrate him, you was unsuccessful due to because you wasn't in that, like.
Yeah, not trying to. He tried to penetrate me.
More help than Montel.
Thank you for saving my life.
Exclusive. An innocent young girl is lured into a cult.
You were pregnant with his child?
Yes.
And he wasn't feeding you?
No.
Subjected to years of torture at the hands of the cult leader.
When did you find out that he was abusing children?
I started seeing little girls come out of his house, and I was getting these weird feels in the pit of my stomach, and I knew, I said, he is messing with those kids.
Later, how her brave actions put him behind bars.
He was a young ex-con who figured out that a great way to get all the sex and money he could ever hope to have would be to declare himself a god.
Cult survivors speak out, starting now.
10 seconds to Montel.
Listen to me.
Tape is rolling. Stand by.
I want the most powerful 3 minutes I can get out of the top of the show.
5 seconds. 4,
let's do it.
3, 2.
Welcome, 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 and thank you so much for joining us today. Imagine being so brainwashed that you can no longer think for yourself. The horrible destruction and the pain that many people experience in cults. And there are over 3,000 cults that exist in America today with over 4 million members. The amount of pain that these people go through is unimaginable. Take a look at this.
The word cult is derived from the Latin verb colere, which means to worship or give reference to a divine being. However, when we hear the word cult today, we think of the huge catastrophes associated with them. Jonestown, Waco, Texas, Heaven's Gate, to name a few. Cult tragedies receive a great deal of media coverage, but many facts regarding cults are rarely given to the public. Almost 200,000 people join cults in the U.S. every year, and 30% of the members who die in cults are actually children. Despite the damage caused by cults, few organizations exist to help prevent the damage, and until recently, governments worldwide have not created programs to respond to the problem.
Today, for the first time, women who escaped from one of the most controversial cults in this country's history are breaking their silence. Take a look at this.
My mother and father argued a lot. My father drank all the time, so it was a lot of violence and fighting going on in the home. I decided to leave home because I came from a background where there was no unity. I felt the community would be a perfect way to get out the house. I felt this was my way to finally have a family and to get close to God. I was approximately 17 when I met York. He was very charismatic. I felt he took my breath away. His energy was very powerful, and it just consumed me. So I decided to start a family with him. I started realizing that something is wrong with the community. I started to see reality. I started seeing women coming in almost every week, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, this is a bit too much. The constant getting women all the time, I'm like, I know that this is not in the scriptures to be having all these women to treat people like this. We were treated like secondhand citizens, but we still was dedicated to him. When I was 6 months pregnant with my third child, I was kicked out of the community in the middle of the night, and he sent me away with no money, no food, no milk for the children, no Pampers. I had nothing. It was very, very pathetic.
Pauline, first let's back up. When you went to the cult, you begged your family to let you go, did you not?
Yes.
But still, you were what age? Because this is very important. People need to know. How old were you when you
I
entered?
became Muslim at 15 when I met them and left home at 16 to join the community.
So when did things start to go a little bit awry? You were introduced to York?
Actually, I had moved into the Philadelphia community first because I had lived in Camden, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then after that, York called me to his community like a few months after that, and that's when I went to.
He called you, but had he seen you? Did he come by and see you from afar? How did he know to call for you? Do you know?
He had saw some pictures of mine. I was told that he had saw some of my pictures and he had wanted me to come to New York.
So you went to New York, and when you arrived there, did you realize that he had beckoned you because he wanted you?
I didn't think that. I just thought that he just wanted me and to help him out with his books.
But when you got there, you realized rather quickly
Yes.
he wanted you.
I started realizing at first I didn't know because he used to say I was his daughter. And I'm like, hey, this sounds great because I never really had a father that was like a father. He was always drinking. So I was like, wow, this is a great way I can get a father. And I looked up as a father figure. So I wasn't thinking on that level at first. And then he started inviting me up to his home and helped me get me to clean up and making his tea. So I said, okay, I think he wants me to be more than his daughter.
But then when did he make that first advance at you, and what age were you when you realized he wants me as more than his daughter?
Actually, I had just turned 18.
He begins a relationship with you.
Yes.
You felt like you were his woman.
Yes.
You were his wife. Divinity had entered you.
Yes.
And then you started realizing divinity was entering a lot of people.
Yes.
So paint a picture of what life was like living with him now. This is your, not officially your husband. Was he calling you his husband?
He would call us his wives, and we were each other's like co-wives.
His wives. So you knew of the other wives when you started?
At first, I didn't know about a lot of them. I did know about one or so, and then I started realizing more and more that there were more, because I was really not, I didn't know that he had that many wives.
And then, Pauline, that's what I'm saying. First you realized he had one or so.
Yes.
So there was one or a couple of them.
Yes.
That was okay.
Yes.
But then he, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
9, 10, 11, 12.
13, 14, 15, up to about 50.
Up to about 50 wives.
Yes.
Well, let me get this very clear so everybody understands. This man has fathered, we know for a fact, well over 100 children. But some estimates say it could be well up to 300, 400 children, correct?
Yes.
You stayed, though, right?
Yes.
And then you got pregnant the second time.
Yes.
But then that's when things started to go awry, didn't it?
I got pregnant 2 times, and the third time it got even worse than that.
Before the third one,
Yes.
at this point in time, you're already starting to realize there's something wrong here,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Not only because of all the multiple wives, all of that. And I know you never started seeing any, you didn't see with your own 2 eyes any of the things that happened with children.
No.
But wasn't it about that time you started hearing rumors?
Yes.
And as you started hearing the rumors, what was his treatment of you like? Because he was, at the same time, kind and fatherly. He was also abusive and mean, was he not?
Yes, he was. Very emotionally abusive.
We'll talk about that for a second. I mean, what was it? Give me a normal day. Here you are, baby's born. And where would the baby go?
The babies were in the children's house. The girls were in the girls' house. The boys were in the boys' house. The men and the women were separate. Everybody was separate.
So when the babies were over here, you're the mother. You only got to see your baby how many times a week?
Well, at one time it was every day at first, and then it got to be once a week. Then it was hardly ever.
This is your newborn child.
Yes.
But it was okay, because God said so.
Yes.
All right, well, you know, when we come back, let's get some more shocking revelations about what was happening. And guess what? Pauline's not the only one. There are several women. I should go on and say, eventually we're going to tell you what happened to this guy, because he is now where he belongs, folks, sitting in jail. Okay, let's get that straight. However, I said it at the top of the show, there are over 3,000 organizations like this operating all over this country today with over 4 million members. We got 2 more on the show when we come back. We'll be back right after this. When did you find out that he was abusing children?
When I was pregnant, before he sent me away, I started seeing little girls come out of his house, and I was getting these weird feels in the pit of my stomach, and I knew, I said, he is messing with those kids. I could tell.
Had you not ever written this letter, this would still be going on today.
Are you a parent who enters your young child in beauty pageants or other highly competitive activities? If so, call us at 1-800-MONTEL-2. That's 1-800-MONTEL-2.
We were treated like second-hand citizens. His favorite wife would get all the special treatment, and her children were treated like queens and kings in the palace, and we were treated like servants. He had one or two favorite women, and everybody else was like dogs wagging their tail, barking for attention.
And I don't want to force you to go through detail, but we will say that a man that's supposed to be a loving, spiritual man of God would not have put you through some of the perversions that he put you through. This was not just regular sexual activity,
No.
correct? Yeah. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? Let them know, because your third pregnancy, he basically, because you weren't complying, he's kicked you out of the cult. Not out of the cult, he kicked you out of the main compound.
Yes.
Sent you where?
He sent me to something called Spring Valley, where it was very decrepit.
You know, so for them to separate that image of him from him being an actual human being is very hard to do.
And someone asks me who I pray to, I pray to him, a living God. That's me.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't believe in worshiping or acknowledging people after they've passed. I believe in acknowledging them and worshiping them while they're alive. I think too much of that is going on with people who worship the dead. My father left me age 8, and I met my mother when I was age 17. She died the week I met her. So, and all I had really was my grandmother until she passed. And then I wound up being homeless, and my life took a different course. And because of my socio-economical disposition, I was more inclined towards doing negative things like, you know, robbing, stealing, and just had the world in a whole negative outlook.
Yeah.
And until I read one of his books, and just his books alone changed me, you know, to the point where I realized like I was on the wrong path. And that's something that the person that accuses them of doing things, whether right or wrong, can never change from me personally.
You know, I agree that it's a lot of people that when they pick up a book, listen to a tape, that they like change.
That's right.
You know, and I would agree with you there. And I would also agree, I mean, it happens in different philosophies as well. Christianity, I mean, sometimes people get into certain things and their life is going a certain way, it changes their life. You know, because especially when you down on the wrong path, you know what I'm saying, you open to do anything. You open to rob, steal, this and that. So if you open to do all those things, then there's also room for positive enforcements to get in there. And if the right type of positive information get in, then it can kind of snap you out of that path and start bringing you on the right path.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't disagree with that fact, and that's actually why everything grew the way it grew, and why it prospered the way it prospered, and then because it was exact and it was on point to what that was its purpose. But see, when you see, I'm speaking on behalf of the children or the people that had to testify. Or that testified.
Had to testify based on what that he did do something to them.
Well, I say had to testify because some people didn't testify. So some people felt it in that they had to do this, like it's something that they had to do. For me, it felt like it was something that I had to do because one, like I told you, both of my sisters went through the same thing I went through. And both of my older sisters.
Do you mind sharing? I don't know nothing.
Sharing what? Okay, well, both of my sisters been molested.
By who?
By Malachi York. By Pops, Barbara, you know, Esau, Mom Esau, whatever. You know, he has sex with them, and
At what ages?
At what ages? I mean, you know, if you want to get the accurate number, you can ask them.
Around what age? You know, I mean,
13, 14, 7, 8. You know, and I will only speak for myself as far as the personal thing that I've been through.
Of course, you.
And as far as you know, and I don't want to get graphic. One. You know, okay, I'm a dude. I'm not going to be walking around saying that I've been molested, this and that happened. As a man, you don't want to be going around saying that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So when in my situation or the way I grew up, I was ready to move on. I left in 2001. I was ready to just live my life, move on, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The people started doing the investigations and stuff. The FBI started doing the investigations, started trying to get statements from people. Both my sisters went ahead and gave their statements.
Yeah.
I still had nothing to do with it. No statement, no nothing. When I realized, okay, they're about to go to court. You know, and I went through the same thing that they went through. Like, I'm my mother's only son. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the man of the family. You know what I'm saying? My sisters were going to stand up for themselves, and I'm, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, well, and then that's when I gave my statement, and that's when I decided that, you know, that I was going to go ahead and do it. Nobody wants to see they family go get locked away. So I really understand how hard it is for people that's deeply involved in it also. And people got to understand, I was born and raised in it too. So I understand from inside out also what it feels like not to have this person around still giving leadership. You know, so it's not no stranger, no random person that's saying, oh, this happened. I mean, this stuff, like, I was 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? I was upstate New York after Brooklyn. You know, I was upstate New York when he first, you know, touched me or whatever, you know. And so from 7 to 14, 7 years that I went through this. You know what I'm saying? And that's my story.
Would you say there's been over 20 children molested by Dr. York?
I would say so. I mean, I would say that it was, you know, if I could confirm people that I could strongly confirm, it would be about 15 or 20 people.
Obviously, if over 15 to 20 children were being molested, we have to now say, how come the adults wasn't saying nothing? Shouldn't they be locked up with Dr. York too? How come they're free to testify about it?
You understand, the adults were separated from their children. You know, so you had the girls in one house, the boys in one house, the women in one place, the brothers in one place. You know, everybody was separated. So it wasn't no house with a family, and then you could recognize when your child is gone.
You mean to tell the world that none of these children had enough sense in their mind to go tell their parent that this isn't right? I've been touched sexually, I've been sexually abused. Not one child out of all these children. It could have stopped so long ago if just one child or just one adult. What caused all of this to come out? First you hear nothing from nobody.
Yeah.
You hear nothing from nobody. Then you hear something from everybody, all at the same time.
They might not have been the medium to talk to anybody about the situation.
Not even their parents.
I mean, that's why, of course. I could have talked to I could have told my mother.
You chose not to.
It's not that I chose not to. To really explain it would really take a lot. But I mean, you're not really yourself when you're not. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got esteem. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no. You know what I'm saying? You can't even face, like, my mother had to, when she found out from my sister and she came to me and asked me about it, and I still really couldn't even tell her. I had to say, well, I had sex with the girl and he was there. And that was my way of telling her that, yeah, it happened. You know what I'm saying? But that's when the initial conversation, and this is like 2 weeks before we left. It was something I was under. I couldn't tell my mom. I didn't tell nobody. It was something that held me to not say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I looked up to him as my dad. Because I looked up to him as the person that he was. I thought he was a God figure. I thought, you know, and all those reasons, like, you know, I'm trying to, like, see why is this going on? What's the significance? I'm young. I don't even know what really into sex, and I don't.
Why do you think he's locked up for 135 years, underground 60 feet, in a super max penitentiary with no one with a case likened to his own, amongst cannibals? Not because what you think he should be locked up for, why you think he's locked up.
Well, I mean, to answer your question in the way that I think you're asking it, you know what I'm saying? Because one, you have a black leader that was getting black people together and was building a sovereign nation.
Tell me if this is something you believe. That's not what I want to hear. What do you personally believe, dealing with the facts of the matter? Not denying you of your experience, but based on what we all know, what is necessary to lock a person up when you accuse them of these type of things.
What I know from history is that whenever you have a black leader that's uplifting the people, that's doing something for the community, that's bringing people together, and that's building people and elevating people, then they get taken down. You know what I'm saying? And he wouldn't have been taken down, and he hasn't been taken down until they found something to take him down with. happens. If he threw everything away by molesting kids, did he really care about everybody else? This is what I have to live with. I have to live with how do I come across the people that's in the knowledge and even vibe with them and talk to them on a regular level, and people looking at me one way.
Nah, that's all good. You can always come to a class of ours.
That's cool, but you know what I'm saying. But it is. But see, the thing is that
it don't make you a bad person.
At the end of the day, people's always gonna have his word over anybody else's word because that's all they know.
No, at the end of the day, he's locked up, so obviously they took y'all word over everyone else's. It doesn't matter. Like I told you, if we say he's innocent, when he's still locked up in prison, y'all word accounted for everything.
Well, I can't go back. You know what I'm saying? I can only face what's in front of me. And everything that's in front of me, I see people that's being misled. I see people that's under the impression, and even though
misled about what? Because people are saying
Doc
is being railroaded. That people are saying none of this has to do with the case as far as the government is concerned. The government don't give a damn about the accusations. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
You got people saying that kids haven't been molested. I can't see what you're seeing. I can't see I know what happened to me. I know what he did. I know what kind of person he is. You know what I'm saying? So
what kind of person he is? That's the question I want to ask you. What kind of person is Dr. York?
I mean, you get what you see. You get what you see.
Tell me,
who
is he to
what
you?
What people didn't see is also.
I asked about other people. I want to know about you personally. I want to get into your mind. I want to know, what is he to you? Who is he to you?
Who he is to me right now? He's somebody that did a lot of things great, but had his flaws, and didn't correct those flaws. And he had years and years and years to correct those flaws. He didn't correct those flaws. Now I came back, and now he's incarcerated. Should he be in there? Should he be out? Someone like him shouldn't be incarcerated if they uplifted the community and doing what he did. But if you're gonna do that, and on top of that, still do the wrong thing for years and years and years, then you definitely shouldn't be out on the streets. That's if I was the devil, the perfect devil is the one who's gonna be a pastor, a preacher, or the one doing the right thing, and actually the one doing the wrong thing and send you to hell. That's the perfect devil right there. If I was the devil right now, I'll be telling you to do the right thing. I'll be telling you to live your life this way, and I'll be sending you right to hell. The devil knows the gospel as well as any pastor or preacher. So if the devil is going to do his job, what better way to do it than to have everybody lifting themselves or doing the right thing, and in actuality, it's like they're going up, but they're going this way. It's not just up. It's like they're going up and they're going astray. You know what I'm saying? That's the only really way that the devil could do his job, is to deceive people into thinking that he's actually God, to deceive people into thinking that he's actually Christ. That's why they say you will have false prophets and false messiahs. I would respect a wolf. If I was a sheep, I would respect a wolf that approached me and tried to hunt me down than a wolf that came in sheep clothing.
My whole argument in this whole situation is, should people be locked up based on what people believe? I got the right to be angry. You know why? Because the Lord promises me something different. The Lord promises me that we will lock people up beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's what the Lord promises me.
Yeah. But in this case, it was up to 12 people to have that reasonable doubt or not. And those 12 people made the decision.
It's not. So what's the point?
If you want to fight
it's your matter of opinion if you would have
fight for it for another reason. Don't fight for it because he's innocent of a molesting kid.
Let's say he molested 1,000 children. Factually. Okay. Genetic evidence and everything. Things that we don't deny. Scientifically, we say, wow, okay, true. If someone was to ask me, would you still worship him as your Most High, acknowledge him as your Most High God, I would have to. I don't identify with everything he does there, much like I believe most Christians don't identify with everything their God does, because it says their God is a jealous God. And some Christians would tell you it's not right to be jealous. And some would tell you that, they shouldn't be vengeful, but in the Bible it tells you Most High is a vengeful God. And it tells you shouldn't hate, but it tells you that God loved Jacob and he hated Esau. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the difference between being a proud Nubian and saying that he's innocent. Okay, that's two different people. I could be a proud Nubian because I was born in Nuwapu, but it's two different kinds of people.
Are you a proud Nubian, if that's the case?
I can be, but how can I be a proud Nubian if the Nubians are saying that he's innocent and I'm saying that this happened to me?
Yeah,
so now it is.
Mr. York, are you now under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or narcotics? You understand you are charged with 40 counts of aggravated child molestation, that you could receive a maximum sentence of 30 years in confinement for each count, that you are charged with 34 counts of child molestation, that you could receive a maximum sentence of 20 years in confinement for each count, that you are charged with 1 count of sexual exploitation of children, and you could receive a maximum sentence of 20 years in confinement, and you are charged with 2 counts of influencing witnesses, and you could receive a maximum sentence of 10 years in confinement for each count, and that you could receive a minimum sentence overall of 10 years on probation. I'm telling you the most and the least. Do you understand that?
Actually, Your Honor, it would be 10 years for aggravated child molestation, and then it's 10 years in confinement.
But minimum then would be 10 years. You understand that? You understand you have a right to an attorney, and in fact, your lawyer, Mr. Aurora, is here with you and representing you. Is that correct? I'm going to inform you of certain other rights that you have, Mr. York, and inform you of the fact that if you plead guilty, you give up these rights. You have a right to trial by jury. You're presumed to be innocent. You have a right to confront any witnesses the state presents against you. You have a right to subpoena any witnesses you want to appear and testify for you. You have a right to testify and offer other evidence if you want to. You have a right to the assistance of an attorney during a trial. You have a right not to incriminate yourself. You have a right to plead not guilty or remain silent, not in any plea, and in either case automatically obtain a jury trial. You understand these rights, and understand if you plead guilty, you give up these rights. You heard the recommendation the state made. Is that the recommendation you understood the state would make? Did you, in fact, do what the district attorney, Mr. Bright, told me you did? How do you plead, guilty or not guilty, as to all the indictments that were cited by the district attorney? Did anybody force you or threaten you in any way to cause you to enter this guilty plea? Did anyone promise you anything to cause you to enter this guilty plea? Are you satisfied with the services of your attorneys, not only Mr. Aurora, but your other attorneys? Were you able to hear and understand my statements and questions to you? He's under oath. Let him enter his plea.
Your Honor, we've gone up this withdrawal of not guilty plea and your guilty plea, and it comes down to both the defendant both child case, withdraws his plea not guilty in this case, equates to constitutional rights, pleads guilty as charged with offenses of. I've already enumerated those on the record. They're the same ones I've enumerated on before, Your Honor. I signed on behalf of the state. Passed and signed on behalf of the state.
Clear? Malachi York, I find you plead guilty was freely, voluntarily, and knowing that there was a factual basis for your plea. I accept your plea.
The social media influencer, motivational speaker, is making headlines for the wrong reason. NBC6 reporter Kim Nguyen is live in Miami Beach tonight with more on the arrest of the man known as Brother Polight. Kim.
Yeah, well, Jawan, the suspect surrendered here at the Miami Beach Police Department earlier this week. Police charged him with sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl. We did speak with his lawyer earlier tonight, who says that these charges are false.
This is the mugshot of 37-year-old Michael Nowak Jr., also known as Brother Polight, to his more than 300,000 Instagram followers. Miami Beach police arrested Nowak this week for alleged sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl in a hotel room in February. Police say the alleged victim was the daughter of a woman he was romantically linked to. Defense attorney David Terrace says his client is innocent.
Once the evidence is produced, that he is going to be exonerated. So yeah, not guilty, nothing else.
According to the police report, Nowak, a motivational speaker and author who lives in L.A., asked the woman if he could take her daughter to an after party at a club in Miami. The report states Nowak took the teen to his hotel after seeing that the club was closed. Police say the suspect gave the teen alcohol and started dancing and touching the teen inappropriately, groping her breast, inner thighs, and buttocks. It goes on to say Nowak tried to force the teen to perform oral sex on him. The teen allegedly passed out and woke up to Nowak trying to make her throw up.
These are serious allegations, but in any situation, there is always motive. There is always a lot behind the scenes that the public is not going to be able to see.
The report states that the girl's mother found her intoxicated and possibly on drugs, with severe swelling on her mouth and lips. It later states Nowak told the mother not to call police because it would ruin his career. Nowak was served with a DNA warrant in June and surrendered to police on Monday. Terrace says the police report is only an allegation.
And Nowak claims to have written more than 90 books. In an interview, he also claims to have several wives.